The secret Vanguard playtests are underway, but lucky for you, I have an all-access pass. To start, this is actually going to be the first video in a series that will be covering the various topics of Vanguard as we progress through its development lifecycle so that we all can see how it's coming together. Today, our main focus is going to be on the deployment and manufacturing system. But before we begin, I must let you know that this is actually a paid video from CCP, but they have never told me what I can and cannot say aside from a few NDA things, and as you know, I have talked poorly about them in the past and would have no qualms talking about them poorly again in the future if they so deserved it. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. First, let's cover the deployment updates and vision. Deploying to the map will give you interesting information about the kinds of things that you may face there so that you can better equip yourself properly. From the time of day to dangerous environments such as like day, night, raining, explosions, volcanoes, etc. From the deployment page, you should get a good idea about how this is going to play out in the map that you're about to enter. Furthermore, there is also likely to be more risky and yet more rewarding areas of the map and vice versa. Eventually, there will be the same star map in Vanguard as there is in EVE Online, and it is from here that the deployment can really expand and start taking on real meaning beyond just a generic map that could be anywhere in space. That's pretty much all we got for deployment. A little bit short, sweet, but it should give you a good idea about what you can expect to see in the future here. Next up is manufacturing, and this is going to be pretty interesting how it's going to all come together. So, first of all, there is a difference between manufacturing and field crafting. If you've played in some of the Vanguard betas before, you know all about field crafting. It's how we get our ammo, it's how we get our deployments, our shields, etc. But manufacturing is something that you do outside of the deployment. So crafting in-game is still important, but this is a different system. So in order to interact with this system, first, you're going to need to get some salvage in the world. You're going to go in, find some stuff, and then you're going to come back with all that goodies. From there, you'll be able to trade that salvage for a blueprint. And it's not implemented yet, but kind of the idea is that maybe you'll be able to customize values that you want for your blueprint, and then from that blueprint you'll be able to use another kind of salvage, or this may be the same salvage that you get in the world, and start making the same item over and over. My personal idea here is that you could make it so that a better blueprint gets exponentially harder to make and craft, allowing you to choose just exactly how much your bling level you want to bring. You get a few salvage and you get something that's pretty nice, and then maybe you give double that amount of salvage, but you get something that's like 50% better. You give double again, you get something that's like 25% better than that. You know, marginal gains, but you know, if you don't expect to lose these items because you're so good, you're going into the harder stuff, then I think that offers a good dynamic. But you know, we'll have to see how that actually comes to fruition in the future. Furthermore, you can still get chipsets in the world, and for the chips that you are okay being flexible on, so maybe your like stabilization rates, maybe your power mods, etc., you can find those in the world, pick them up, they'll probably be fine. But the manufacturing system is something that you want to be using for chipsets that you know you always want and are not okay being flexible on. So maybe you like always want a sniper rifle, you got to get that like sniper BPC and always be manufacturing that way. That way you always have that, and then you can find kind of the extra stuff that you want out on the battlefield. And talking about finding things on the battlefield, this manufacturing system is actually going to be the main way that you are making your kind of like loadouts. Again, remember, you're not like some battlefield scrounger that's just picking up anything and like duct taping it together. You are a legitimate mercenary clone soldier, so you can find some stuff on the battlefield that you can bring back, but you're gonna need like your laboratory, your manufacturing things, and you are making like legitimate loadouts from not the battlefield. So you're gonna get stuff, you're gonna bring it back, you're gonna manufacture it into exactly what you want, and it's from here that you're going to be creating the bulk of your loadouts. Another thing that is in the EVE Vanguard vision in the future is that you are also going to be able to get different mats from different areas to create different things. So an example that comes to mind for me is that there's another video game called Tribes of Midgard, where that like in order to make a fire sword, you need to go to the desert area and get the flame crystals. And then when you make the fire sword, sure, it's bad in the desert area, but it's going to be really good for the winter zone over here. So kind of the same concept that we can take, kind of adapt it to Vanguard. Maybe there's like a sulfuric swamp area over here that you need to get some kind of protective clothing from, some kind of protective armor. So you go to this other area that has this other materials that you need to get to in order to make this sulfur resistant armor, and then you can go further explore this area. So kind of the idea here is that you're going to be going out into the world as a battlefield person, getting the things that you need out of the world, bringing it back, manufacturing the things that you need, and then you can be better equipped to go into these other things. Another thing about the Vanguard crafting system is that it does take real life time, just like Eve does. This can kind of be like another lever to adjust in order to make your blueprint. So it's a very baseline system here, but hopefully in the future, this is kind of my ideas, but hopefully it works this way. We'll see. Is that like you can have a good item fast, but it's going to cost you a lot of materials. Or you could have a good item slow and then be efficient with your materials. Kind of like hopefully we see like these blueprints when you, because again, they should hopefully be customizable. So when you go to like make them, trade them, etc., you can say, hey, I want this BPC. I want to be able to make it fast, and I don't care what kind of materials that I waste doing it. Or you can make it slow and be methodical. Make sure that you only use exactly what you need to. Hopefully we see that there. And there is also going to be recycling of completed items. If you find like chipsets in the world, or maybe you like make something that's okay, but then you get an upgrade later, you will be able to recycle these, much like Eve, and then you can use that recycled stuff in order to make more stuff. Hooray, stuff. Moving on to the topic of copies versus originals. The devs have stated that all of the blueprints are going to be copies and not originals. So we'll see how that works out. Maybe eventually, or maybe like through some special events, maybe we get originals, maybe we never get originals. Maybe there's like a T2 BP original thing again in Vanguard. We'll have to see. But aside from that, is that they also want to keep rolled items. So like rolled items, think like gacha mechanics are probably abyssal mechanics are probably going to be pretty important in this game. So like they've even gone so far as to state that like they want big important items that roll well to kind of be like a status symbol. So like you should be able to see like, Grognog Destroyer 420, like he's got the sniper rifle of plus 27 when like normally it's supposed to be like plus 25, right? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so you can probably expect a lot of like rolled items, rolled stats in the Vanguard. So it's kind of going to be like a little bit of gacha mechanics. So like you want to keep pulling them levers, keep hunting for just that wonderful primo stuff. And then once you got the primo stuff, you want to like really make sure you're safe and keep it. So maybe that'll be like an interesting like risk aversion, or you could use your really good stuff for this really dangerous stuff and have an advantage there, but is it worth it? I don't know. You got to make that decision yourself. There is also eventually maybe plans on how people can pool resources to like a single industrialist person in a corp. We haven't really gotten a whole lot of information about like how corp structures work or how group structures work, especially outside of deployment, but they're going to focus on kind of this main core gameplay for a single individual person, and then hopefully we'll eventually get some information about like what we can kind of expect from like a larger group organization level. Lastly, we got a few miscellaneous updates for you. So suit mods confirmed. We'll see what they are. We just know they're confirmed. Jetpacks, maybe, hopefully. We'll see. I'm, in my mind, thinking kind of like the Halo modular suits. So you got like your jetpacks, you got your like ground slam, you got your armor, you got different kind of suits, so you can kind of customize like how you are as a person that way. Another thing is that they don't currently have any vehicles planned for Vanguard. This is kind of like a smaller scale, tactical, individual, like close quarters combats thing. Don't think huge battlefields. Again, all of this can change. We'll see. Maybe in the future we get vehicles. Who knows? But like I know if you're like a Dust 514 player, you're very used to vehicles. This is, in that instance, going to be a little bit different than Dust 514. Lastly is that they are improving accessibility through things like remapping keybinds. I know a lot of us have been pretty frustrated with the keybinds as we've played through the Vanguard betas, and like they understand this, they know, and they are working and to make sure that we should be able to like basically change any and all keybinds in the future. Another thing about accessibility accessibility is that if you have some vision impairments, things like different colored themings is not really on the docket right now. Eventually, like, I can't imagine that like you won't have the pretty standard these days, like I can't think of the name because I'm not colorblind, I'm sorry, but like the dinotropic, trinotropic, things like that. You know, accessibility is important. They are thinking about some of it for now, and hopefully we get some changes there pretty quickly. And then some other changes like the colorblind stuff is going to have to wait a little bit longer. That's what I've got for you this time. I am going to keep at it, going to go through these Vanguard development cycles. We'll see another video here probably in a few weeks about some new cool topics. And yeah, just if you like this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, stay with the page, and we'll keep you updated on everything that you need to know through the Vanguard development cycle. Been a pleasure and honor. Can't wait till I can report to you next time. Have a great day. 07 and goodbye.